was not 10, but it was 4 million when you give us the figure by the farmers, and then 1 million or almost 900 by the millers. I think you are not giving us very clear issue, because our suspicion or our thinking is those maize that were there during your survey has not been consumed by Kenyans. It must have gone somewhere. Yeah, it's okay. I'll give you. So what the question Honorable Sarut is asking, if you had that maize and you have even increased the price to 3 million shillings to mop up those maize out of the markets, then what happened that you didn't even reach the end of May, that we're in the crisis where we are now? That's the question, I think.
In fact, Chairman, even when we met, our strong conviction was the traders are still holding the maize, because anytime we did an intervention, the traders released and then stopped. But the projection up to May, when we projected up to May, it meant therefore before May, the government definitely had to do something to ensure that we break the cap. And that is why we identified the cap to be 5 million, and that is why in April we decided to undertake an importation. Otherwise, Kenyan maize did not get out of this country. The SFR maize, I think that's another question which you brought up.
Chairman before.
Honorable
Chairman before. I think, Chairman, and that is why we are requesting Honorable Opio and I, perhaps it was a bit too fast. Chairman, not unless we get it right from the word go, we will not get what we want. And Chairman, the bottom line is what you told this committee in January. And you did say specifically that the farmers are holding 4 million bags, not actually 10, Chairman.
No, I have the...
That is what you told us, and it's on record. And Chairman, I recall very well, I did ask a specific question, as how...
That was December.
It's okay.
Yeah.
And I recall asking you very vividly, how did you know that these farmers are holding 4 million bags? What technique, what method did you use? Because, Chairman, not unless we get to know that indeed there are those 4 million bags, or it was just a myth. This is where the whole problem is, Mr. Chairman. So, unless we get to know the bottom of this, Chairman will be going nowhere.
Okay, I think we are at the beginning where we are. What happened really? I think we'll be very specific on two issues. One is the maize that has not come into the stores that are being held by farmers or by businessmen. That one, I think, you may not be able to account for, but our knowledge also, our information is that those maize must have gone to South Sudan the way the one of Uganda has gone. It is common knowledge. I think they may be hoarded out of the country, either before the president banned it or after. So I think we need to be very, very, very specific and very sincere to ourselves. That at least with whatever you gave us in January, and whatever little harvest you have harvested in February or so, the second harvest, I think you couldn't have been in a situation where you are, despite the fact that at least the border maize that used to come, as you have said, that is one factor that you may have counted on, but never be. But just give us, that is where we need to understand, so that at least we can be able to move to the importation and the interventions.
For figures, yes, you have something.
Thank you, Chair. I'm not helping the minister.
You are supposed to, that's why you are there.
Okay,
you are supposed to.
I think, let me say this. The figures we are talking about of January is data collected by our technical officers using the most appropriate methods of counting and assessing, the number of grains we have, particularly on maize. And those figures, indeed, as the minister has put it, in December, it was 10 million. But come January, and I think as the minister has put it, what will happen is that the short rain harvests, that's the short rains October, November, December, January, which is usually takes about 3-4 months for the maize to be harvested. We have an assessment undertaken and we get the results in February. And I think that's the time we are assessing that our production was seriously depressed. And that's why we mentioned that probably we are going to get specific figures, that probably farmers had 4.4 million bags, traders had about 5.5 million bags, and I think we're even going to get more details on that. So come that period, we knew end of May we will not have enough maize. And Honorable Chair, that's why we took some serious steps by government. One was to declare the drought, because during that period we were assessing about 3 million Kenyans who are starving, who are not going to have food, and therefore some of these interventions was actually to sort out the problem of the drought. Now, we also, on 13th of April, we actually waived duty of all maize imported to Kenya. And we did not specify it should be imported by millers. We did not specify it to be imported by specific companies. We said anyone can import maize without duty to Kenya. And indeed, Honorable Chair, I have the Gazette notice here, which was very, very specific. This was an intervention to help us mop up maize wherever it was in the world, duty-free to Kenya, to meet this gap, which we knew after May we are going to have shortage of maize. And I think let's be specific, Honorable Chair. We are talking about only maize. When you talk about other food crops, we have other food crops in the country. But it's maize which is stable for probably most, I think, middle class and maybe elites in this country, particularly the shifted maize. That's actually causing us this problem. When you talk about even the maize being held by our farmers, as we speak now, any maize growing area in this country, farmers and households are still holding maize. I come from Samburu West, even not as a PS, as a farmer. I've got 15 bags of maize in my house, and every villager in that area has got not less than 1 bag. The whole of North Rift, South Rift, Bungoma, Western Kenya, our farmers who grow maize have kept them in their stores and their galleries. They have maize. But what we are saying here, we are saying that specifically for this sector and this area, we have a shortage. And this is why we gave Kenyans to import the maize. And therefore what has happened is that, Honorable Chair, is that people and international companies imported the maize. And that's the maize now we are struggling to deal with. But as you speak, now in this country, since yesterday, we have 980 bags of 90 kilograms maize in this country. About 700, 800 of it is actually from National Strategic Food Reserve. Our businessmen and I think millers and even small millers are holding about 110. We are talking about 980,000 bags of maize. That 980,000 bags of maize is enough to provide us with shifted maize meal up to 29th of May of this month. And therefore, what we are working on as a government is actually to see how now do we continue providing, on a sustainable manner, this shifted maize meal and probably even additional maize for Kenyans up to when we get our next crop in October. So I just wanted to put this into perspective for Honorable Chair, that, and I want to confirm, we have 980,000 bags. This is actually our own maize. And that's 980 that we started yesterday, putting it in the market on a subsidized program. And subsidy, Honorable Chair, and I think maybe you will also help us here. This Parliament and this House has always gone out of its way to support our farmers, providing subsidy programs. It has provided subsidy when it comes to tractors, provided subsidy when it comes to seedlings and fertilizer. So this time around, because of the fact that there is no maize in the world today, in fact, you Google, white maize cannot be found. It is inelastic commodity. It's a commodity that can only be found at one period, and it disappears because it's only destined to Africa. White maize. The rest of the world is consuming GMO maize and yellow maize. So what